Hey guys, it's Jason, and today I am reviewing the movie of the freaking year, Morbius, directed by Daniel Espinosa and stars Jared Leto, Matt Smith, Andrea Arjona, Jared Harris, and Tyrese Gibson. It is another Spider-Man spin-off after the Venom films, and it's not going to be the last because we are going to get a Kraven the Hunter movie and a Madam Web movie next year. And this movie is about Michael Morbius, played by Jared Leto, who is supposed to be one of the best doctors in New York. But since childhood, he's had this disease that makes him walk on crutches, and he tries to find like a certain bat DNA that's supposed to help him get rid of that and have him cured from that disease. But of course, that ends up turning him into a man-eating vampire that kills people. Now, just a little heads up, this review is going to contain some minor spoilers, nothing too big, but it's just going to contain some of the stuff that people have already been talking about ever since the movie came out. Spider-Man is one of my favorite superheroes of all time. I think he's one of the best, and he has a great collection of his iconic villains. But when it comes to Morbius, he was never one of my favorites. I don't think he's a terrible character. He's just not as compelling as, say, Venom or Green Goblin or Dr. Octopus. And he really hasn't had that much in the spotlight in other Spider-Man related things. One of the only times I've seen him in is the 90s animated series I used to watch when I was a kid. And when I found out that they were going to make a movie based on Morbius, I was not excited, but I was kind of curious to see Sony take something different that's not well known to everyone, and I was hoping that they would at least make Morbius be memorable. And they did, but probably not the kind they were hoping. And you've already heard the bad buzz this movie got, like with the memes and a lot of people just trashing on it and poking fun at it, and I think it deserves a lot of that because I haven't seen a comic book film this bad in so long. This reeks of a gigantic paycheck for everyone involved. There is a lot of exposition in this film, and it makes the movie drag a lot, and it's not interesting. It is very boring to the point where you want anything to happen. The writing is so lazy, with characters doing things that are so out of character and sometimes unintentionally funny. Like, there's one scene involving a song which I really can't say it's a spoiler anymore because there are so many videos about it and people have made fun of that for months ever since this movie came out. There are moments in this film that just happen out of nowhere with no explanation that just comes off so random that makes you go, wait, how did that happen? There was no setup for that at all. That makes no sense. There's some insane stuff like that happens throughout the film that kind of mess up the tone for this movie, which, speaking of the tone, it really doesn't make you understand what the movie is trying to be. Is it trying to be a comedy or is it trying to be a horror film? Either way, both of those tones feel bland and they just don't mesh together. Now, I don't feel comfortable talking about this, but at this point I have to. The acting and the characters in this film are both terrible. Jared Leto looks like he's both bored and tired in almost every scene he's in. Even after Morbius gets the bad DNA inside him and becomes a vampire, he's still a boring character. There's almost nothing interesting about him. He's just a doctor who's supposed to be one of the best doctors in New York, and he lives in an apartment with a close friend of his, Milo, played by Matt Smith, who also has the same disease that he has. Speaking of Matt Smith, let's talk about him for a moment. I do think he's a very underrated actor. I do really like him as the 12th Doctor from Doctor Who, and I liked him in last year's Last Night in Soho, so I do think he deserves more credit for his acting. With that being said, though, he is insanely over the top in this film. His performance and his delivery in his lines just don't work for the rest of his character. Andrea Arjona's character really doesn't serve a purpose in this film. She's just a love interest for Michael Morbius, and she becomes a damsel in distress in the third act. Yeah, I thought movies were done with that too. The action scenes are crap. They don't even look cool. It's just a bunch of slow motion with mist coming out of Morbius whenever he's jumping really high or just killing a bunch of bad guys. It doesn't look all that impressive. It just looks like it came out of the movie 300 or a different Zack Snyder film. And it can get annoying really fast. I have been trying to find at least one thing in this film that's at least okay, and I've been struggling. Like, there's really not one thing in this movie I can find that's at least good or serviceable. Morbius is one of the worst movies I have seen in 2022. The writing is abysmal, the acting is bland, the action sequences are tiresome and annoying, and there are moments in this film that are unintentionally funny. I know so far this movie has a cult following because of the moments that happen in the film, like the dancing and the "it's Morbin time" meme. Like, if you want to watch the movie just for those moments, then you be my guest. But if you want to take this film seriously, then no. Just skip this film, watch another comic book movie that you actually love watching. Just stick with that, and don't worry about Morbius, it's not worth your time. I'm gonna give Morbius an F. Easily one of the worst comic book films I have seen. And when people think of the worst comic book films of all time, they would talk about movies like Batman and Robin, or Fantastic, or Catwoman with Halle Berry. And this film just might be as bad as those films. So guys, if you have seen Morbius either in theaters or on Netflix recently, or if you actually saw it again when it was re-released in theaters because of the memes, what were your thoughts on it? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.